Welcome to Next Up, and in this episode, we chat to the extraordinary TechGirl, also known as Sam Wright, and take you into the world of eSports. Plus, we have a cool prize to give away, details at the end of this video. Before we get underway, please do subscribe to our channel, it's absolutely free, plus we have some really cool content. So, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, as well as that notification bell so you get alerted whenever we have a new video up on Next Up.
And congratulations, Sam hit 1 million views. That's an extraordinary achievement.
Thank you. It was a bit of a surprise as well because I got the notification and I'd been very busy with other stuff and
When you say you got that notification, what does YouTube send you like a thing? You're saying you hit 1 million.
I got an email and it said you got 100 views and I was like, 1 million views, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And that was kind
delete.
I screen grabbed it and I kind of was like, but I'm always like, those things to me, they're awesome. But I think for me, the interaction with the community is always much more fulfilling. It sounds weird, but I much prefer comments on a YouTube video where someone says, thank you, this helped me, or now I want to go play this game that you were playing, or thank you, this, you solved this problem for me. That for me is far more fulfilling. Or I once had a little girl come up to me and she drew me a unicorn. She was like 7 or 8, and she said that she had been watching some of my Nintendo videos because those are obviously kid friendly. And she gave me this picture. I mean, that still hangs in my house. It's moved with me. That for me is like far better than 1 million views is cool, but that's
so cool.
Way more awesome, yeah.
So I want you to just take us back because, people are watching this and they're thinking, hey, I want to be like Sam. I want to be like a YouTube star. I want to do esports. Where did this all start? I mean, is this something that you always wanted to do at school? And at any stage, did you go to your parents and say, I want to become an esports commentator? Because you would have been like grounded for years.
Well, I grew up in a very nerdy home where everyone played games, but unfortunately for me, everyone played games very well. I'm not good at games. It takes me a long time to get into them. I love them, but I was always the worst in the house. And when you play with very competitive people who are very good, gaming becomes quite scary because they're constantly beating you and telling you that you need to improve. So the eSports shoutcasting thing didn't really come about because they were all the pro players, and my brother ended up going and playing in a team. What? So I kind of just used to spend a lot of time watching them play, which I think helped with that. But originally, I wanted to get into radio. That was something, journalism and radio was something I wanted to do.
Because that's what you studied, right?
I studied journalism. My big dream was to be a Sky News reporter. And then while doing that, I just got bored, to be honest. Like, I sat there sometimes and I was like, this is boring. Like, I am a little bit silly and I like being goofy. And that was kind of how TechGirl came about. I was messing around with some friends. We'd gone out for cocktails. And there was one of my friends had been to a smartphone launch, so she had her hands on this new phone. And everyone was pulling their phones out. And I started laughing about how these phones didn't fit in skinny jean back pockets, and convinced them all to take photos of me fitting these phones in my skinny jean back pocket. Because I was like, we should do the skinny jean test, and the phone that's the most comfortable in the back pocket wins. Super silly, took a bunch of photos, and then someone was like, why don't you put that on the internet? Because I actually like this. This is entertaining. And that was how the blog was born, I call it the skinny jean smartphone test.
That is so clever.
Put it up, and people were like, well, you should do more of this, like be a bit silly. I'd been writing for tech websites at the time and doing the super serious stuff, but they were like, I enjoy the silly things.
I actually want to ask you about your gaming because, you were talking about your household and, very much a gaming household. Can you remember the games that you played growing up? The first video game that you played, what was it?
So we used to play on Sega Genesis. Everyone did. So
Sega Genesis, now you're going back.
We used to pull the cartridge out and blow in it, and they told you not to do that, but that was your thing. There was no such thing as a save game. If that thing went off, I used to lose my mind at my mom because we would play, and then she would tell us we have to go outside. So we'd leave it on the TV, run outside for like an hour so we could come back, and when we got back she'd switched it off and switched the TV off.
So Sega Genesis was the first one?
That was the first one, and then I became obsessed with Mortal Kombat 3 on the computer.
It goes
which you shouldn't be playing at our age. Like, we shouldn't have been allowed to play that game. It is age restricted.
It was quite violent, right?
Yes, but we played it non-stop, and that actually taught me more about tech and like coding, and I'm not really ashamed to admit this now because everyone did it, but I figured out you could get cheats on the internet. And this was
Yes.
way before Google existed
And
and,
you
any
type
of
it
that.
into the screen and you say enter and you get like extra points.
Yeah,
or
or
whatever.
like baby fatalities. That was why we did it, because we wanted these cool, weird fatalities. So in this stage, Google didn't exist. Like Hotmail had just come out. My brother and I used to spend hours trawling the internet on these random like message boards to find these codes.
The same thing.
And then it was like Age of Empires. Then we started. I obviously my
Age of Empires.
That was the big one.
Have you played the remake?
I haven't done it yet.
Oh, it's very cool.
I've seen it though.
It's
so
very
like,
cool.
yeah, that was the games. And then
Haberdakers.
my dad tried to like push us away from a lot of the violence, because we obviously were pulling his games out. So he had like Diablo and Doom and Quake and all games
wow.
that
And
like.
he's trying to get you away from the violent stuff.
So he gave us The Sims, and within, I think it was like a day of playing The Sims, we figured out we could go and get more codes off the internet. So it was funny because he got us away from the violent games, but he just sent us down the rabbit hole of what the internet was back then.
I'll tell you what, in our studio here at Next Up, Sam, we have a special button that can take us anywhere we want. So would you mind taking us to one of those eSports atmospheres? Now, we want to talk about e-gaming and that sort of thing, and the hardcore gamers. There's a place called, what's it called? Mavericks.
Mavericks, the Matrix Warehouse.
Matrix
I know
Warehouse.
which one.
Can we go there quickly?
All right, we should. Let's
okay,
go.
Here we go. We're at Mavericks in Rivonia. This is probably one of the biggest gaming places in the country, right? So would that be fair? Is that what you do is this your big thing that you do for a living?
So this is what I do for a living. This is what pays the rent.
Yeah.
I talk about video games. Before COVID, I got to travel the world doing it. Now I mostly do it from my house. But before COVID, I've been to Asia, I've been to America, I've been to Europe, I've gone like all sorts of different places, standing on stages just like this with a bunch of gamers, just getting really excited about the action on screen.
Now, you've got eSports host, and it says you're a shoutcaster as well. Now, is there a difference between the two things?
There actually is a difference. So much like any sports broadcast, an esports host, the host is normally the person who starts the show, introduces everyone. The action happens and the shoutcasters commentate on the action happening, and then it goes back to the host, who will normally have like an analyst desk where you'll break down what you saw, things like that. I always say to my mom that, like, imagine Nas Buerta in rugby.
Yes.
That's your esports host.
Okay.
But then your commentators are your shoutcasters. That's the
Okay.
best way to explain it.
So what's more difficult out of the two?
In my opinion, being a host is more difficult. I think when you're a commentator, the gameplay is so entertaining. You can immediately be as hype as you want to be.
Yeah.
I find it really difficult being a host, because your job is to take what you just saw, create interesting conversations, and look for those different things that maybe someone missed. So during the game, you're studying everything you see, so that when you come to the desk, you can kind of lead there's normally a panel of experts, ask them the questions that'll still make it interesting, because obviously people have watched the game already, so they know what to expect. You've got to try now and teach them something they didn't know, or entertain them somehow. So I always find hosting a desk far harder than commentating.
Wow.
But there are a lot of shoutcasters who will be very upset with me for saying that. But I
apologize.
I am sorry. I mean, shoutcasting's hard in its own way, but hosting I find a lot more, I have to use a lot more brain power, if that makes sense.
Now, Sam, I know you're a big Nintendo fan as well, and I'm a massive Nintendo fan. You know, it's one of those gaming platforms that's transcended, and there's like no generation, you know? I mean, I grew up playing like Donkey Kong and Nintendo when I was growing up, right? And today, Nintendo is still relevant. So tell us about Nintendo and your relationship, because I know you're a big Nintendo gamer.
I'm a huge Nintendo nerd. I mean, I started on Sega Genesis, where we used to play Mario. That was the thing. And then through the years, we've played different Nintendo consoles and jumped on things. But then when the Switch came out, I was just like,
I love that Switch.
It's the best thing. And for me, because I traveled so much, I was like, this is the best thing that's ever going to happen to me. I can just go everywhere and play. And then from the day that the Nintendo Switch came out, I've been playing it. It's one of my favorite consoles. I still spend all my time on it, and the games are just amazing. What I love about it is you can be super competitive. So I've got friends who, and I've actually had a chance, I went to Amsterdam to commentate the big Smash Bros. European tournament. So like, they have the eSports infrastructure, but they encourage the idea of fun. So it's a lot more fun environment. So you can do the super serious stuff, or you can do the fun stuff. But what I also love about it for me was coming from a hardcore gamer PC background. Do you know how many hardcore PC games are on the Switch that you can play? So like The Witcher.
Yes.
That was the huge one. Everyone saw the Netflix show. I can put that on my Switch. I travel, I play it. It's there. Apex Legends, which is super competitive battle royale, Fortnite.
Yeah.
So you can have that experience on your Switch, but at the same time, if you want to just play the incredible Nintendo, because there are amazing Nintendo games, Mario, you can relive all of that.
What's your favorite one?
My favorite Nintendo Switch game is Splatoon 2.
Okay.
But the new one's coming out at the end of the year, Splatoon 3. So from the day I got the Switch, I played Splatoon. I loved it. People thought I was insane because I just loved running around being an inkling.
But I heard, you see, she's like very modest over here, and she won't tell us, but I heard you love Animal Crossing as well.
Oh yeah, well when Animal Crossing, okay, but everyone loves Animal Crossing.
What is so special about Animal Crossing?
Well, I mean, it came out at the right time, so we were all locked down and we had nothing to do, so we had to. Animal Crossing is so much fun because it's completely, there's no competition, there's no barrier, there's no sort of, I always say like you need a skill, there's no skill that you need for Animal Crossing. You come in as this little person and you land on an island with a raccoon who's, I mean, we can go into that, but there's a little raccoon and he says to you, wants you to build this island and make it exciting for people to come visit. And then you run around and you fish and you pick fruit off trees and you catch butterflies. And that's basically, you eventually build your town and you've got all these people who come to visit. And it's, I think I spent 62 hours on Animal Crossing, and I eventually had to put it down and say, because my island was built, the credits, because there is a part where the credits run, but then you can obviously keep playing all my time.
So listen, we've got a special Animal Crossing hamper to give away, okay, for the Nintendo Switch. So please give us a nice question to the audience, a fun question that people can answer, and if you know the answer to this question that Sam's going to give you about Animal Crossing, you'll win one of these hampers. And type in your answer below in the comments on the channel, and we will choose a winner. So give us a question about Animal Crossing.
So I think that you need to name the 2 raccoons that run the shop. So if you know the name of the 2 raccoons that run the shop, that can be the question.
Right.
If you know the answer to Sam's questions related to Nintendo's Animal Crossing, type in your answers in the comments below and you could win an Animal Crossing hamper worth 1,600 rands, compliments of Core Gaming. Thanks for watching this episode of Next Up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, it is absolutely free, and please click on the like button if you enjoyed our video. See you soon on Next Up.